All right, we got another one, and this is why Cosmic Baru versus Cosmic Garou isn't close. Now, I'm not gonna hold you. I don't know nothing about Cosmic Barus. I don't know what this. It just I don't Cosmic Baru. I never. But I'm giving it to Cosmic Garou. Even though I like Barus, Barus like my favorite. But I'm gonna give it to Cosmic Garou because Cosmic Garou is my favorite too. Both of them my favorite. But yeah, Cosmic Garou, he got that he can copy people's stats, man. And you know, that's like that's broken. He is just straight up broken. And on top of that, man, he got that radiation. Fight him with radiation, but then again, I blame Cosmic Baru. He should be immune to that then. But you know, I don't know, man. I don't know, cause they do got like nuclear fists, and it's just so much. I don't. And then he can like copy all like it is so much. But let me see. Cause I don't know too much about Cosmic Barus, bro.
Cosmic Fear Garou vs Cosmic Boros. This is by far one of the most interesting scenarios that could have occurred. Think of this video as a what if Boros was amped by the entity they call God. Certainly a crazy idea that a lot of fans likes to think about. In this video, we will be speculating what would happen if Boros was offered additional powers from God. How strong would he be, and eventually how would he fare up against Cosmic Fear Garou in each scenario. But before, please make sure to click the subscribe button and hit the notification bell for more of these One Punch Man videos. Thank you.
Let's go.
Hateful Fists That Wrong the Gods. The title of chapter 162 that is undoubtedly one of the most shocking chapters in the series, of which certainly presents three major surprising events: the defeat of monster form Garou by the hands of Saitama, the appearance of God himself, and the birth of Cosmic Fear Garou. Cosmic Fear Garou is clearly the strongest monster we have ever seen in the series. Obtained powers from God that clearly amped his stats and abilities immeasurably to the point of feeling omnipotent. Copying techniques, adapting, understanding the flow of energy, and mastery over martial arts, all very useful extensions amped to their absolute limits. According to the narrator, Garou awakened the flow of cosmic forces and their dispensation of power, allowed him to use abilities such as the nuclear fission fist, emitting cosmic radiations just by standing, and gamma ray burst, known to humanity to be the most powerful type of explosion. Creating a mode called Saitama by emitting his movement and energy levels proves that the power of God takes his innate abilities extremely far. Not only was he able to match Saitama using his consecutive normal punches, but also fought the #1 hero Blast and proved to be relative if not even superior. Managed to copy two of Blast's abilities just from one single glance: the Gravity Knuckle and the Subspace Portals. Having a large strong quantity of techniques and abilities in his arsenal could take his fighting prowess to the next level. Mixing many styles of fighting synergistically is his perfected specialty. The Roaring Aura Sky Ripping Fist, the Water Stream Rock Smashing Fist, Fist of Gravity, and Nuclear Fissions are all used in perfect harmony while fighting against Saitama, meaning the more he copies, the stronger and more problematic he would get. Garou is also more than capable of using the Serious Punch without any implications that it's weaker than the original. Now, what about his actual physical fighting stats? According to Saitama in chapter 165, Garou is a strong opponent that he wouldn't have to worry going all out against. That surely doesn't mean he is equal to Saitama, but he is almost quite there. Despite Saitama clearly not wanting to kill him, he was definitely still serious. Garou not only was reacting to Saitama, but managed to tank multiple of his serious punches. The only problem he encountered is simply that Saitama improves and adapts faster, but nonetheless, being capable of matching Saitama and each time getting as nearly as powerful as him clearly puts him as the #2 most powerful character we've seen so far.
I mean, yeah, well, he did say, "Here I am in the endless horizon," so you know,
definitely proved himself to be the true symbol of fear. Boros is without a doubt one of
my boy Boros.
the strongest characters in the series, being the first character who took a punch from Saitama and survived, implied to be the same as him, holding overwhelming power to the point of reaching absolute boredom from not finding a worthy opponent. I've already made 4 videos featuring Boros, the latest one matching him up against the Cadres. You should go and check it out. However, in order to find out how strong he would have been, let's first talk about the powers of God. How does it work, and what are the possible results that Boros could attain? We have 3 certain characters who has already accepted the power of God, that being Homeless Emperor, Garou, and Psychos. Homeless Emperor was an ordinary human being, possessing absolutely no powers at all, became a legit dragon level monster who can shoot energy beams limitlessly, certainly raised his combat abilities to the point of being able to perceive and react to high level beings. His motive was to eradicate the existence of human beings, and for that, he attained high-level strong destructive powers. Psychos, prior to merging with Orochi, was also a dragon-level monster who possessed strong psychic and telekinesis abilities, got absolutely low diffed by Tatsumaki. However, as soon as she merged with Orochi, accepting powers from God made her significantly more powerful than before. She can now use her roots to become the planet itself, and can also exert enough energy to split a continent casually, a level of power she could never hope to reach without getting amped by God. But the most notable one is none other than the hero hunter Garou. Certainly raised his stats immeasurably to the point of matching Saitama when before he couldn't, magnified his already crazy good abilities to the roof, can now understand the flow of all energy, and can exert cosmic radiations just by standing, becoming the kind of evil he has always wanted to be. Now in theory, with these 3 cases, we can come up with 2 different possibilities that could happen when accepting powers from that entity. First one is, the kind of power that would be granted is based on the motive the character already has. Homeless Emperor wanted to eradicate the existence of all humanity, therefore he got absolute destructive abilities. God was granted cosmic radiations and was feared by many just by him standing. The second one is that God would just simply amplify the already existing powers that individual possess. Psycho Orochi didn't get any additional abilities other than what both her and Orochi can already do. Her telekinesis and Orochi's abilities were just raised to a new higher level. Now with the first case, I cannot think of any power that would suit Boros' motive, which is getting rid of his boredom by experiencing the acceleration of a fight. Other than the power that could provide him an opponent who can push him to his extreme limits, nothing here really works. The second case is what likely would happen with Boros. His already existing abilities and powers would just get significantly magnified. This could lead to obtaining unparalleled regeneration abilities, possibly immortality. He already explained he has the greatest natural healing factor in his species, and with being amped by God, he could possibly regenerate from a single drop of blood without having a marble that limits his healing abilities, which would be crazy. His innate energy beams should also increase drastically. Garou, who prior to getting amped, possessed no destructive attacks. However, he still gained an attack that was described to be the most powerful
Gamma ray burst
to humanity. By this logic, the collapsing star roaring cannon destructive capacity would just get stupidly raised. In each case, any individual getting boosted by God always gets a considerable amp in stats. That means speed, durability, and strength gets risen to a new higher level. Now, strictly speaking, from a narrative standpoint, Boros would more than likely refuse to get additional powers from somebody else, as Boros, despite searching for a strong opponent, possibly stronger, he still has his pride as a fighter. Any additional powers that isn't his would just make him a fraud. It would also mean that his boredom would also increase since he's gonna become stronger than before, and that's definitely something Boros doesn't want to have. But for the sake of this video, let's say God would amplify his powers anyways, same way he did with Garou. This leads to consider another important factor, which is when would God offer his powers to Boros? Now, if we go by what happened to Garou and Psychos, both were offered powers after they got defeated. In this case, God would clearly offer his hand to Boros after he took the shockwave of the serious punch head-on and survived. In a narrative standpoint, this would certainly suit this matchup perfectly, as Boros would still be alive and can fight against Cosmic Free Garou in the future. The second case, of which I believe it would make Boros tremendously OP, is giving him powers before he even fights against Saitama. This, from a story standpoint, is likely not what would happen, as first, even with his godly powers, I highly believe he would survive against Saitama, and second, in theory, God seems to offer his powers to individuals who are weak or already weakened. This happened with Garou and Psychos, and with Blast in his fight against the Centipede, and again with Tatsumaki when she could barely even walk. This means that the first case is what likely would happen. With all of this being said, how would Boros amped with God fare up against Cosmic Fear Garou? Now, it's important to understand that this whole video is based on pure assumptions and speculations. One of them is that we would assume God would give the same amount of amp he gave Garou to Boros, and how strong they would be would heavily depend on their already existing powers, physical attributes, and potential. For example, let's say God amped Homeless Emperor to be 100 times stronger than before, which is actually downplaying how much stronger he became. Provided he would do the same to, for example, Lightning Max, giving him 100 times stronger amp, Lightning Max would definitely become much stronger than Homeless Emperor. Reason being is that Lightning Max initially, without the help of God, is stronger than an average human like Homeless Emperor. Now, if we use this formula to apply it on the cases that we have, if Boros gets amped before he fights against Saitama and somehow goes to fight Cosmic Fear Garou, he would be just a significantly stronger fighter. Remember that Saitama knocked out Garou from his monster form before getting amped, and Boros is certainly hundreds of times stronger than that version of Garou. Let's say if they both gets amped equally, Boros would just be a much higher dimensional fighter than the likes of Garou. This would definitely not be close at all. Even with Garou's potential to improve in no time and copy techniques, he will still lose. The reason he was able to continuously fight Saitama and improve is because they were almost equal. As soon as Saitama reached a much higher level, it was clearly impossible for Garou to keep up. Same thing would happen from the get-go with Cosmic Boros, if you guys want to call him that. It's just not a competition. Now, don't get me wrong, Garou could eventually reach Boros's by continuing to adapt, especially since Boros has never showed any indications of adapting and improving. I'll go ahead and explain this using an exponential graph, as that would make it easier to understand. Boros from the get-go would be this much higher than Garou. Garou would be a variable that can only be increased, and Boros would be a constant that cannot be changed. However, Boros would have all this time to kill Garou before he reaches him. It's really this simple. However, for the second case, of which Boros would get amped after he gets defeated by Saitama, it should be crystal clear that Garou just outstats Boros in literally everything. Not only would he manage to compete, but would eventually adapt and improve in a much faster rate. If Boros decides to use any of his abilities, such as the Collapsing Star Roaring Cannon, Garou would simply use Mode Boros to completely copy that attack. Even if you say Boros would still slightly be stronger than Garou, the reason Garou would be a better avatar than Boros is simply due to his abilities that would allow him to eventually reach his level and go even beyond. When God usually amps other individuals, they stay on that level. The reason Garou is so special is because of the ability to grow stronger was amped to its absolute limits. So in this case, as mighty as Boros is, I still don't see how he would win. Now obviously things would change based on so many factors. If one is amped more than the other, or God grants a specific cheated powers to one of them, etc. But if we go by what we have, the most pressing ability in this context would be Garou's cheated ability of copying and improving in such a fast rate. Meaning, if he fights an opponent of a similar level, he would eventually surpass. Let me know if any other possibilities you have in mind. And also, if you like these type of videos, let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching and take good care.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, man, it is what it is, man. But you already know, man. Link up in the description. I'll get to the next one.